Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to do a little video for both stories and my Substack. I actually posted to Patreon as well about this situation involving this young Ranger, Army veteran who served in the 75th, likely out of McCord, out of Fort Lewis, the Joint Base, and allegedly picked up his girls, his 3 young daughters, for visitation, took them to an isolated campsite, and they found the girls murdered, strangled to death, or asphyxiation is the official cause of death. Homicide for sure. And now they're searching for this veteran / former Ranger. And there was a particular news report that talked about the campsite, and his truck was abandoned. And apparently he's 3 days ahead of any law enforcement that's looking for him, because that's how many days went by before they discovered the girls. If I can offer any advice, understanding the tactics and expertise of this particular individual, I heard a sheriff out of the local county where this took place talk about his extensive military background and survival, and how his dad said he used to live off the land for months, off grid. One thing you should recognize as well in the military, especially in Ranger Regiment that belongs to U.S. Army Special Operations Command, is that false infiltrations or deception as a deliberate planning tactic is part of how we execute operations. Let me give you an example. False infiltration. There will always be a false infiltration plan to deceive the enemy. And so when you're going to land on a specific grid coordinate, you might fly another helicopter that's empty to land on another grid coordinate in order to enact and activate all that communication between the bad guys, whether you're trying to directionally find them or you're trying to, as a distraction, create a false insertion so that you can do the actual insertion without risk of compromise. What I mean by that is Rangers, and I was never a Ranger. I was Ranger qualified as an infantryman, but I went to Ranger school when I was very young, 18, 19 years old. That you're taught in the planning execution phases of the operation to always have a deception plan. And it's not just when it's convenient, it's ingrained into our brains. It's part of a format, the 5-paragraph operations order. He is not going to be where you think he's going to be. It's likely that if he staged the truck at this remote campsite, he wanted law enforcement and people that were looking for him to think that he was in the area and vicinity where that vehicle was. He could have had an electric bike, a motorcycle, another vehicle, a person facilitating his transport. Whatever it may be, he could have, in 3 days, gotten away from that place, but made it seem like he was in the national forest surrounding that area. And I don't think that's where he is. I think that's all intentional. Now, the second potential course of action, because if he was in the 75th, that doesn't make him a survival expert, but he may have been to SEER school, high risk level C, which is certainly open to Rangers and in specific roles. And he could have went to different training courses to include peacetime detention and other survival courses. But for a fact, we know that as a child and as a young man, he was used to living off grid. If he has any kind of mental faculties about him and still has any morality left in him, which is hard to believe for me after murdering your own children. It's disgusting. And I don't care what he was going through post-traumatic stress-wise or in his veteran experience in combat. There's nothing in the universe that would justify murdering anybody, especially your own children. And I saw a news report that said the VA system failed him and the girls. I don't buy into that. Sure, the system's failed me. It fails a lot of veterans every single day in this country. But to downplay his actions and decisions to do that, I feel like it was a downplay. Let me know what you guys think. But the second course of action is that intentionally, after he did what he did, he had a plan, if he had any morality left in him, to kill himself. And he's either dead in a river, a crevasse, a cave, on top of a mountain, and you'll find his body 3 years from now, or he fled with the intent of never coming back. Because he's a member of the 75th Ranger Regiment, and you have to have your mental faculties to be in that job, yes, he could have mental trauma related to TBI, post-traumatic stress, all the things right now, and could be completely out of his mind. But if he found in his own consciousness any morality whatsoever, then there's no way that he could live with himself. And so I think there's a high possibility that he's already gone. With that being said, I wouldn't stop the search, but I would also err on the side of caution of looking in the predictable, natural patterns of life of people and even criminals. This guy's not normal. If he was a member of the 75th Ranger Regiment and had multiple combat rotations, he's crafty. And if he deliberately planned this, then where you're looking is likely where he's not going to be. I wanted to offer that opinion. I don't know if the family will ever see this, but I have prayed for you, and I hope everybody else is praying for the mother of these beautiful young girls and for these young girls' souls. It's